We are social media teams, and our topic is social media-based resource designed to educate and recruit talent to the oil and gas industry. And so we have 4 members, me, Shuaijun, and Michaelin, Arlua, and Colors. We are working on 4 different social media. We have our deliverables. So we have, with the help of Daniel, we created the social media account, and we manage the 4 social media to quantify our achievements. So we set our goals of how many followers or how many likes of every post that we did. And we keep our posts once a week. We also have our backlog. We share articles, flyers, and pictures, videos. The next. So I will follow this outline. First, we are going to talk about the objective of our team and the method that we use, how we manage and we keep our deliverables growing, and the result of the 4 social media, and the challenge we have met, and we also have our proposal for the future work. So our goal is, based on the 4 social media, we introduce our council's mission, activities, and based on the information that we post, we educate and recruit the students interested in petroleum engineering to grow petroleum engineering as well as our collegiate council. And each of our team member, we take care of 1 social media. So I run the Instagram, and Colors run the Facebook, Arlua running LinkedIn, and Michaelin is running Twitter. And we have backlog information that stored in our shared Google Drive. So everyone have access to the information that we post, and we can accumulate our resources. Next. For Instagram, we set goals like to reach 40 followers and 15 likes per post, and we post once a week. And on the right, this is an overview of our Instagram account. You can see our account information, and you can see the posts that we did. Next. So for example, these are 2 examples of the post. So on the left, it is a dinner that we had in the first meeting in Houston. So this graph shows the activities, the fun activities that we have in our council. And on the right, this is a potentially offshore technology conference in Houston that was posted earlier. Next.
Okay, next, I'm gonna talk about Facebook results. In this chart, you can see the goals and the deliverables. The goals were set in Houston when we were talking about creating these pages, and we wanted to have 160 followers, and today we have 289 followers. The goal was having at least 15 likes per post, and per post now we have 17 likes. And we wanted to reach all of these with 1 post per week. Next slide, please. Here are some examples about posts Facebook page has. The first one is about an interview Eric and I had for national TV, where we talk about collegiate council and the opportunity it brings to students to get involved in the oil and gas industry and live the experience of being an engineer. And the second one is a visit we made to Gyro Data in Houston in the first meeting. And you can see there the number of people reached. And the first one we have 1,253, and the other 415 people. Next slide, please. These other two examples of good number of people reach and interactions of posts. The Women's Forum in embracing the infinite game, and the post about hope, and the pictures we took in Houston in the dinner and in the hotel, and the first activity we made when we arrived to Houston, going to play bowling. It was really fun. Yeah, and that publication got 671 people reached in interactions. Next, please.
Hello, everyone. So I was in charge of managing the LinkedIn account. And when the account was first created, we set certain goals for the LinkedIn account, which was not limited to having 30 members, 100 followers, 10 likes per post, and 1 post per week. So if you fast forward to today, we have accumulated over 62 members, 500 followers, and we've maintained a minimum of 5 likes per post. So the strategy implemented in attaining our goals for social media was to share more information about our members. So basically to build value with our respective audience about what it's like to be a member of the council, what they could gain. So we shared content about our organization, and the last strategy was to cater to the audience. So if you look at this picture right now, it's one of our most viewed posts on the LinkedIn account. And as you can see, a lot of our viewers are in the Texas, Houston area and Connecticut area. And it also lists like their respective roles. We have research fellows, engineers, business strategists, and some of them work for Shell, ExxonMobil, Pratt Whitney. So in order to attain the goal, we post information that could be meaningful to our audience in order to keep them interested, and also combine that with information about the council.
Hello, everyone. My name is McLean Brown. I was in charge of the Twitter social media account. And essentially the tactic that I took on this one was I went through on the Twitter account and I followed a whole bunch of industry leading, whether it be companies, organizations, or reporters that a lot of their tweets had to do with oil and gas. And essentially it was just spreading news of the articles or the different reports that these companies or organizations were coming out and saying. So to the right there's 3 example posts, kind of the range that I was looking at. Try to focus on things that were happening in the United States, and, obviously petroleum and oil and gas. So you can go to the next slide then. Perfect. So as far as the goals and deliverables for Twitter, we had originally set these goals at the beginning. So the 40 followers, unfortunately, we were not able to meet that. When we had started this, we had anticipated the 20 members that we had inducted into the Collegiate Council this year, all followers. But whether it be because they didn't hear about it for some reason or they don't have Twitters, we weren't able to have that original buffer. And this was the first year that the Twitter social media was created. So we're hoping that the Twitter will grow as we have seen LinkedIn and Facebook in the future, that is. As far as likes per post, it's kind of hard on this social media account in particular. just because we're not really able to see all the statistics that you could with Facebook or LinkedIn based on who was seeing it, who was liking it. So we didn't know how many of the likes that were on any post specifically came from us or our social media account. And finally, the goal was to post one post per week. And I actually found it quite enjoyable reading all the articles and whatnot and posting. So I guess I overdid it a little bit there. So we got over four posts per week. So.
Now, talking about the challenges we have to face with the social media accounts, these are the graphs that McLean was talking about a little bit in Facebook. You can check the insights of your page. They tell you how much people is liking, and you can analyze graphs of months, about followers, about likes, about comments, about shares, about everything. So here's an example of these graphs. This is graphs of followers that Facebook page has. We have the y-axis is the number of followers or the followers the page is receiving. The x-axis is a time in days, like the graph number 1, November. Well, it starts from 12 because November the 12th was the Facebook page created. The orange line means unfollows. That means a person that already had followed the page, but because of some reason, he or she decides just to unfollow it. And the blue line means the follows. It means a new person that visits our page or sees a post and start following. Okay, the first graph, I think it's the most active month because we grew a lot. We got at least 9.3 likes per day since the page was created until November the 30th. And the biggest day we got a good number of followers was November the 16th with 68 likes. And the graph below is graph number 2 is at December. Now in December, we see that the page had a slope. This means that we kept growing, but we didn't do the same as we did in November. The peak we got in December is six followers in December 27th, comparing to November 16th. Well, 68 to 6, it's really low, but at least we were growing. We were reaching at least 2 or 1 new followers to the page. These followers could be potential appliers for future collegiate council members. Next slide, please. Now, the slides 3, 4, and 5 are from January, number 3, February, it's number 4, and number 5 is March. So in these graphs, they're really simple. We see that we aren't like growing at all. We see in January, we got 2 follows and 1 unfollow. That means 1 follower in a month. And February is 1 follow and 1 unfollow. So that means 0 new followers in our Facebook page. And March, well, March, we got 2 plus 1 plus 1 is 4, minus 1 is 3. So 3 new followers in the whole month. So this tells us that we are stuck. We are not growing anymore. At least we're not losing our followers. But if we want to reach out more people, more potential new appliers, we have to somehow get another peak, even bigger than 68, and start reaching more people. So next slide, please. So this is a publicity budget. Every social media has its own website to advertise whatever you want. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. The pricing depends on how aggressive you want your campaign of publicity to be. If you put more money in it, more number of interactions, more people reached, okay? So these quantities I put in this chart are not completely are not mandatory, okay? You can change it, but it can affect the number of people reached and the number of interaction, but it's just, I mean, you can choose whatever number you want. So in this proposal, Instagram and Facebook are worldwide publicity. You can select, next slide, please. You can select in this publicity strategy and a specific group, a specific country, a specific city. So I choose in this option worldwide. It means, well, complete world. And the range of ages, well, we were told the last meeting that it can be a good idea to reach high school students. So this can help us reach those students because we can choose a range of ages of people to reach. So if we want to reach high school students too, we just can't change the range of ages for high school students, and they're gonna start seeing our ads, our publicity. So we also choose a specific people because we include the interest, what they are looking for in the social media. The gas, the oil and gas industry, the mechanical engineering, the offshore drilling, petroleum, energy. And this gives us a good amount of people to look for being and becoming a potential applier for the future of this collegiate council. Next slide, please. So how are we gonna do this? I saw the professional video this collegiate council has. It's really good. I mean, it tells everything students want to listen about what they can have as an experience of this. But our team also make other 2 videos for this proposal. So this is video number 1. Please play the video, or thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Eric.
And I'm Carlos
I'm a student for Petroleum Division Collegiate Council.
at the Universidad Autónoma del Carmen in Mexico.
Hello everyone, I'm Heidi,
Hello everyone, I'm Orloa.
and we are the ASME Petroleum Division members at the University of Connecticut.
Hi, I'm Emily. I study at California State University in Los Angeles. The ASME Petroleum Division Collegiate Council connects students to petroleum industry.
So something else I'd like to mention, I didn't mention in last slide, is that another option we have for reaching these high school students is like to get every collegiate council member or the ones who want to participate, spreading the word, giving presentations in high schools that they have in their cities, around, nearby, you know, and all of these can help us to spread the word about the collegiate council and reaching the high school students. So, well, this video is completely made by our team members. This was a challenge because we're not experts at editing videos, but this is somehow an example that we want to give for this proposal. That's everything for me. Orlua,
Yes, thank you, Carlos. So, as Carlos mentioned previously, we've had challenges with social media marketing and just our outreach, and we came up with these proposals in order to combat those challenges and figure out a way to solve those problems. And we were able to take it a step further and make a second proposal from a different point of view. So the first proposal was more of if we made the advertisement or the videos ourselves and put it on social media marketing softwares to market those videos for us. So I decided to come up with a second proposal that focused on using corporate companies to help us in the process of creating awareness or just spreading the word about ASMEPD. So I came up with this second proposal after doing a lot of research, talking to a lot of company representatives, and it's been a fun ride. I just have to say it's been eye-opening for me. I've learned a lot, and I was able to find this company in, I think it's in Texas. It's called Thrive, and they were willing to work with us on a budget level, which I used that company. I used certain goals to weed out other companies in the process of creating this proposal. So I set 4 criteria for myself, which was short-term and long-term goals, content creation, followers, and designing a social media strategy. So in terms of short-term goals, we wanted a company that would work with us on a short-term basis or long-term basis, depending on what we wanted. So Thrive was a company that was willing to work with us for a month, 2 months. And the reason I chose them is because our applications are due in the fall. And in order to test the effectiveness of this proposal, my suggestion was to sign with them a month before applications are due and see if there's a spike or see if there's a change in order to gauge their effectiveness. And the second criteria for proposal 2 was content creation. So we have materials to post most of the time, just like the video you saw. We're able to create these videos, but sometimes we might run out of options, or we might run out of ideas, or we're just limited in certain ways. And companies are willing to step in and help us in the content creation aspect of the marketing. And the third criteria was followers. So follower growth management, along with bringing in followers by creating meaningful engagement, is something they're willing to offer. So I'm sure everyone has seen posts on LinkedIn, Facebook, where it's a really good post, it's engaging, but there's just not a lot of engagement from the followers. You see 1 comment, or you see 5 likes, but you're kind of expecting something along the lines of 100 likes because of the impact that message is carrying. So they are willing to get that follower engagement and just boost the viewers that view those posts. And lastly, designing a social media strategy. So the first proposal focused on getting those materials out there to the public, but sometimes we might need a goal, like a uniform goal that we all working towards, basically because we have 4 different social media accounts. And in order to align all our actions on each social media towards one specific goal, I believe we need like a corporate or a company-based backend that would be able to make sure we are all sticking to the same goal of creating or not repeating certain steps that we've done on other social media accounts. So as I mentioned before, this is just a list of all the criteria or all the qualities that this company is willing to provide if we do sign with them. And if you look at the list, it's basically they are able to work with us on all 4 different channels. So one of the challenges for this proposal was finding a company that was able to do marketing on all 4 platforms. We know Facebook, Instagram is owned by Facebook, so that's kind of like a joint deal right there. So it was kind of hard to find companies that were willing to go over to the LinkedIn side and just combine all those platforms together. So they're able to do that on all 4 platforms, generate follower growth and conversion rates. So, and they're also able to work with us on a short-term or long-term basis. And finally, we have the price. So when going through this particular proposal, because we are dealing with official organizations or companies, sometimes the prices can be overwhelming or just straight up outrageous. And most of the prices range from $5,000 a month to down to like $500 a month or $300 a month. And we were able to come up with a plan in which they were able to work with our budget, because we told them that we had a, let's say $500 limit, and they were able to come up with a plan which was $875 initially for the first month to set up strategy plans, presentation, and that goal I mentioned, basically each social media working towards one certain goal. And from then forward, it reverts back to a $750 per month paid advertising. And as I mentioned before, this is why I went with them, because they were able to work with us on a short-term basis, which is a month or two before, let's say, the application due date, in order to test their effectiveness. Because sometimes you can't really test how effective your social media marketing campaign is. And I believe that that would be a great way to test their effectiveness. Let's say we decide to sign with them. Finally, I just want to say thank you to the ASME group, PD, and everyone that was involved in this council, because this has been a great opportunity to network with companies, network with everyone on the council. And I just want to say thank you from the social media team.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Team Social Media. So our social media accounts are really creative and interesting. We will be really honored if the executive committee follows our account. So if you have questions, executive committee, do you have questions?
This is Brian Webster. I do have a question. So great work. Thank you for putting this together. It's really interesting to see some parallels with some of the discussions that we've been having with the executive committee, and how to have some outreach. I guess for the team, my question is, it looks like Facebook and LinkedIn, based on your data, has the most impact. And I was, just kind of looking at that data. I was wondering, do you have any insights about what do you think works best? Which one's better? And then the second one is there anything out there that we need to anticipate? For example, I'm sure like my sons are looking at, I think it's called TikTok, but is there anything out there that's on the horizon that we need to pay attention to also?
I can answer the second part of that question with the TikTok. TikTok is really blowing up right now. So it's just short clip videos, like the one we just showed you, like way shorter than that, just showcasing what you need to do. And I feel like that is something that's upcoming and something that could possibly blow up in terms of the council and trying to gain awareness and just creating content for the council. The first part of the question, I would say Facebook is doing really, really well. There's a lot of people on Facebook. LinkedIn was a little bit challenging at first, but the reason it got so successful is because I started off with the ASME base. So I started off with people that had any connection with ASME, and from there it just started building. Like people, anybody that just saw the account just added or wanted to be part of it because of the ASME brand in general.
I'll speak to that a little bit as well. Regarding Facebook and LinkedIn, both those platforms were already created when we came into this, and then the Twitter and Instagram we created ourselves during this term. So that was one thing that we were working against, and something that I kind of ran across when running the Twitter account was I think people are much more inclined to share a post about the oil industry or maybe this organization on Facebook or LinkedIn, kind of whether it be telling something that you would put on your resume or just sharing an experience that you had. I think those are much more things that people like to post on LinkedIn and Facebook, whereas Twitter and Instagram, it's a little bit harder. However, that's kind of the market that we're trying to gear towards. We're trying to get younger kids and kids in high school to kind of look at us as a viable option of an opportunity that they might have. So it's kind of an interesting little dilemma that we're faced with, but it's kind of something that I noticed as progressing through this.
Yeah, and well, all of these pages, all of these social media pages were created from zero. There was a Facebook page of the ASME Petroleum division when I looked for it and I found it, and I tried to reach that page. I sent it a message and I never got an answer. That's why we created a new one. So this Facebook page and LinkedIn too, and all of these social networks that we are now presenting to you were created from zero. We built it out of nothing. And yes, that's something right that McLean said about how hard it can be, because most of the people use Facebook, so that's why the numbers are bigger. And LinkedIn, well, Orelua made a good strategy, and well, I want to thank you all for your time, and I hope you like our presentation, our proposals. If you have more questions, please feel free to ask.
This is Jim. Great work. I really like the presentation.
Thank you.
And I really, really like the video. I thought that was pretty cool. Dynamic video speaks for itself. I like the elements of that video because it kind of aligns with our strategy for international outreach. And I can see there that we'll not only have students from different states in the United States, but I think international. So, yeah. And I think ASME as an organization has, you know, in its mission to reach internationally as many people as possible. And I'm really glad to see some students international in this effort. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Happy to participate.
I guess the one thing I would add is you know, this is meant to be a learning experience, and you didn't just create the sites and just watch them. You looked at the data and learned from it and gained some conclusions. And I think that's something that we should be willing to share either with the greater ASME that has some social networking capabilities, and I know they're building that program, or on the other hand, ask them for their help. I'm looking at what we've gathered in our area, you know, what they might suggest also to help us grow this and deliver what we're after, and that's promoting this cool event and that sort of stuff, especially as we grow it outside of the Petroleum division. So maybe if we capture our recommendations for you know, going forward, if we include the thought of connecting with New York's capabilities and sharing learnings from either end and working on a path forward from there.
Hi everyone, so this is Idalia. I just wanted to add to, I guess, Brian's question and answer a little bit about that. So you asked about what social media outlets are out there, I think, that maybe we can look into as well. I don't think we ever mentioned Snapchat, but I think that is a social media right now that it's also very active in people around like our age group, that maybe you guys want to look into for further promotions. Because I know that you mentioned TikTok, which TikTok is very popular right now, but Snapchat has also been very popular, and they kind of go hand in hand in how they work, because they're more like promoting small little videos about interactions and things that you're doing kind of in the moment. So maybe if you look into one of them, it would be maybe cool to look into both of them at the same time, because they're pretty similar.
And then I have
Thank
a
you,
question.
Thank you.
Do we know if can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we connected at all on our social media with ASME, like greater ASME? Because if they've got it'd be nice to get our Facebook and Twitter and all those accounts connected to the main, to like their main website, where people could maybe just click to like the page and then be followers from there. I mean, that might be an avenue we might need to pursue or put down as an action item going forward.
I know that our Facebook is. That's the exact reason we had to recreate it, because we were warned that we created it improperly. So that was part of the reason for redoing that this year. As far as the other platforms go, I know we have followers, but I don't know that we are like listed on ASME, the Greater ASME's website anywhere. I could ask about that if there's an area to do that and how we can go about making sure that we have some kind of direct affiliation.
And I
Yeah, I
forget
think
her,
that would be a good idea.
and I forget her name, but and I mentioned something to Danielle about it, but there was a gal on the digital eFest that did a presentation on the value and that of social media, only to reinforce that the greater ASME sees that as a big part of the future. So it may mean that she's too busy to help. It also may mean that if we put together the right story, that she'd be more than willing to help us too. So
I understand. I'll make a note to reach out to her.
but I was just answering Danielle, not so much as an action, but I think I'm answering Dina. I think there's some energy for that on both sides. We just need to connect properly.
Just for information, Don, we are also, the executive committee has been looking to improve on our marketing and everything else. So there are some discussions that our committee going on as well. So these are very good recommendations, suggestions, and emphasizes even more so the need to do better in this space. And I think we got a lot of room for improvements here.
Okay, well, we'll share with you our student presentation with the guidance document, and then the New York one, which, as Emily said, we're still working on. We've got a lot of learnings at the end of this year we want to include, so it's still needs some work that we'll also share. And if we can, work that together, that would be great.
Thank you.
I have a question for the social media team. What are the challenges that you faced in making the videos that you made this year? And also, is it feasible to have or to make video in the fall meeting for future collegiate councils?
Well, the challenges that we faced, were that, I didn't know how to edit a video. I looked for a software that was I took like a complete day doing that, and by learning with YouTube, tutorials, and they were really helpful. And like trying to think, how can you take the attention of somebody? Like you got a few seconds. So that's why we made this video fast, like a minute. And in a minute, you have to let people understand that what you're offering them is a good experience, it's a big experience. And also, it doesn't matter where you live or where do you come from, you can be part of this. So I think that's what was the biggest challenge for me. And about question number 2, I don't know if somebody else, or Alua, McLean, or Trajan want to answer.
So the biggest challenge for me was, so one of my strategies was to cater to the audience, and because a lot of people that follow our LinkedIn account where, so we had a lot of oil and gas, a lot of people that worked in oil and gas, but we also had a lot of education specialists. And one of the challenges was trying to incorporate posts that could be shared by those people that would be of interest to them. So it was kind of like trying to balance the two together, something that would interest the oil and gas followers and people that were interested in oil and gas, but it wasn't something that would be too complicated. So I was always on the lookout for something that was easily understandable. So I would say that was one of the major challenges for me on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So for Instagram, I wanted to mention that there's one very clear way to reach the specific organization or a group of people is we use the hashtag. But I think generally speaking, I think personally, like Instagram, they're not as broad used as Facebook, and also compared with LinkedIn, which is more specialized for professions, which they have clear goals, like to seek something, like a job or a specific field. Yeah. So for Instagram, the main approach that I use towards the specific organization is to use hashtag. I think that's the function that Instagram only provides for now, except the ads.
Another option you can take on Instagram is like once I was thinking that when we have a future meeting or the future collegiate council have a meeting, they can always share their story on Instagram and they can write down the page of the Instagram page of the collegiate council and mention it on their story. So the collegiate council page can share it like ASME eFest Instagram page does. So that can work really great while having a meeting in Instagram.
Okay.
The other thing that and then maybe y'all can think about this going forward, but I'm real great at saying, man, I wish we would have taken pictures earlier today. As opposed to, does someone have a camera and does someone think it's their job, or does someone automatically think of it and do it ahead of time? And you know, because y'all mentioned the first meeting. That's the time when we're so busy just doing stuff, we forget, hey, we should have taken a group picture, or we did that.
Yeah, it can be a group picture or just like being seated there watching the presentation of some expert of Baker Hughes, for example, and you just take a little picture and then share it for everybody to see that, well, in the collegiate council, they right now are doing this. So that gives like a closer experience to the people who's gonna watch that that picture, that story.